Hello, Pizzaminets, and welcome to this video, which is Fujigoko episode 4, actually. I have here a budget muscle car roamer, because today's theme is muscle boats, and as you'll see, it is a roamer. It doesn't look like a muscle boat as such, but it is. It's rear-wheel drive, and it's got a inline 6, which is turbocharged on the cheap to make 340-ish horsepower, so it's not particularly underpowered. I did take this round before, but I didn't endurance test it properly, so it exploded at the end of the first lap. And due to the way I switched into this vehicle, I should have reset it really, because I was able to launch earlier than I should have. I mean, this suspension system is not good at dealing with this power. It is very soft, which means it'll deal with bumps well, but with this level of power, I don't know. I'm going to keep the time for this vehicle because I feel now I've retuned it a bit to make sure it doesn't explode. It will set a better time, and it's really fair on it. But I also feel that the other two vehicles I did, I'm not going to redo them properly, but I will show you them on this video. It's just I lost the original video clip. It wasn't recorded. There's nothing I can do about that. It's the way things worked out. Having said that, this is surprisingly nice coming back to it. Yeah, I'm going slow into here, but with the reassurance it's not going to explode on me, I actually feel good pushing this. Despite the overall tippiness of it and the high centre of gravity, I mean, it's not bad. The tyres are heavy-duty tyres but on completely stock wheels for a base model roamer, which this is. It's also an automatic, but the automatic hasn't been upgraded in any way. It's just the base automatic transmission from the base inline 6, which this car has. Just the base inline 6 with a turbocharger on it. Turbo response isn't that bad, I will say that much. As you'll see, I got a bit out of shape there. I don't think this has ABS, but I don't know, I can't really feel it. If it hasn't got ABS, then I guess the brakes are well sorted. Yeah, definitely no ABS, but well sorted brakes, so not that it particularly matters. So these tyres are not terrible, but they're not great at the same time, especially not for this kind of track work. It has done a 130, and we've exploded it again, which I didn't expect to happen. So it is 130.5 between the Maluch and the Hopeless with its modifications done. Which, thankfully, yes, the Hopeless hasn't beaten this. This is a fully featured car, though, remember. Besides the track width, making it look a bit sportier, it just looks like a normal roamer. Well, a beaten-up roamer, but a roamer nonetheless. I would say that's a good time. And I don't know, I just can't proceed. The engine's gone. But it looks like it's deemed to fail, regardless. Nonetheless, it did well, and it didn't have the first lap hindered because it exploded way over there on the first lap and possibly lost some speed coming along to the start-finish line, whereas this time it didn't, and that will have gained it a bit of speed. Anyway, moving on to some better engineered vehicles. So, here we have the iconic Ford Crown Victoria Police Interceptor. It makes 280 horsepower, so it's not the most muscular thing in this world. However, we should be able to get going and see how it'll drive. The one thing I do remember about this are the tyres. It's dreadful. I mean, not to say the car itself is bad, but those tyres, they are just not suited for track work at all. It does float quite well, actually, given it's a Police Interceptor with the firmer suspension. It floated over those bumps really quite nicely. And you'll see it did clunk, but so what do you expect? I hit the front into the speed bump, not speed bump, the rumble strip, that's it. That's the term I was looking for. I can go around this corner quite nicely. I've just got to be careful of applying too much power because these tyres cannot handle it when I do that. They are terrible, terrible tyres. I mean, they feel like they're from the 1950s or 60s. They really do. They're just not grippy at all. Maybe they're supposed to feel tired or something, as if they've been on this car for 100,000 miles, I don't know. But they are not exactly helping it round this track. Ooh, we're going a bit wide here, but I can perhaps use that to my advantage, as I do. Again, going here. The advantage of being a boat, which is very wide for how low it is, roof to floor, is that it's not going to tip over like certain other cars we've had, like the 205, for example. Yeah, it's not going to be like that as I get really out of shape there and kind of recover it with some speed still left in the car. Oof. I'm noticing clunking there. The next car does do it as well when I go over the odd harsh bump. I think it's just these cars are so heavy that, you know, they have very good refinement, but you can always hit them in the wrong places, and when you get all that weight hitting a bump like so, it isn't going to act well. This does have a bash bar being a cop version, so that is going to help, I think. 1:36 is not a bad opening lap as well. I wonder what this next lap will be. The Roma could be very quick, I imagine, if it had not blown up. But I did adjust it and it seemed fine when I was tuning it. It just couldn't maintain that round a course. And I mean, that's sometimes the case. Sometimes these custom vehicles aren't capable of dealing with the pressures of track life. And that's why many engines blow up. As I kind of gripped on the curb in a way I didn't want to. Come on, straighten out, Ford. I didn't do that on the other one, thankfully. I mean, I know that was just a stupid mistake on my end. I do seem to have got out of it quite well, though. But it's proof of these tyres. I mean, the platform itself, the Crown Victoria base, is actually a very nice handling car. It's just on these tyres, I can't seem to get anything out of it, and it's so annoying. Because I know this car could set an incredible time had it had a manual and brilliant tyres, but it doesn't have those things. So I feel like they're really pushing it down the leaderboard far more than they should. I still beat the first lap though on that second lap, even with the crash, and the second lap will be far slower than this third lap, provided I get everything right. Things in this third lap don't feel bad so far, so I'll just have to carry on and hope, I guess. I mean, this Ford is not disappointing as such, but other parts of it are. Oh, I'm going too far there. A bit of a poor line, but I think I can just about wide it out. Come on, round here we go. And accelerate. There we go. So that is fairly similar to the best one I had before, which I believe was a 131.5-ish time. Anyway, having seen the leaderboard before driving this, it did come just between the Roma and the Hopeless, which for a completely stock vehicle really isn't that bad. I mean, this is not tuned, remember. The Roma was tuned, very poorly tuned, but tuned nonetheless, as was the next boat we will be driving. So, here we have an incredible sounding Plymouth. Sounds a bit strange when I do that on the start line. Anyway, it is a very nice looking car. It is the Plymouth Fury 3. And as you may be able to notice, it is a custom variant, meaning we have a lot of good parts on it. So we are able to set a good time. Come on, realistic gearbox. I'm trying to do all this while commentating and it gets kind of awkward, but I've again already set the lap time for this, so it's not like that's a major concern if I get a slightly bad launch. Ooh, that's what that's what I mean about going over these bumps. And it is gripping lovely. I mean, the custom tyres on this are very good. Also, even though it's got 400 horsepower, and now I'm just going a bit crazy with all that power. Second gear still. I was thinking, is it in automatic mode? No, I just didn't change gear. I probably should be. I'm kind of getting used to autos in this game as much as I shouldn't. I'm just getting used to automatic transmissions that do all the work for me. They might not necessarily do the best job of things, but hey, they do still shift gear for me, and I'm just getting used to that assist. So that is to say, to a point, I'm not expecting to have to do anything with my left hand. But still, this, if you know how to drive it, is a very good car. Shift into second here because the hill's going to slow it down a bit, and then on the way out of the hill we shift into third. Try and give us a steady power. Along we go. Fourth gear. Nice and steady. So here, no ABS. The Ford did have ABS and it was a beautiful assist to have. But this one, in fact, does not have it, disappointingly. We can go over these curves. Don't worry about the clunking sounds. I think that's just bodywork. I think mechanically it's fine. It does feel fine mechanically after I go over those things. So we'll just have to grin and bear it, I guess. Even if it is an awkward kind of, my car is getting wrecked as I do this grin. Come on, over these bumps, gently, does it? It didn't clunk there, it just clunked over the earlier ones, probably because of how hard I was pushing it over them. I'm not finding I go into fourth gear though. I'm finding I only need to use third. It's every car on this circuit. You never need to use the higher gears. But this car did well. As I think I've said before, I even set off with it. It did set a good time on the leaderboard. And that is, I would say, attributed to the grip and the fact that it can use for 400 horsepower. 400 horsepower in a boat light is terrifying. 400 horsepower in this, well, not really. I do feel it's veering to the left, but I'm able to manage it. As I say that, I'm not really able to manage it. And my hands end up all over the place. Come on. Jump! Oh, there we go. Yeah, something is wrong with the steering, but I can proceed anyway. And it is just about drivable. I say just about drivable. I've driven things on this game that are far less drivable than this. It's actually quite nice in the scheme of broken things. I think I've just broken the front left suspension a bit, or bent a wheel up there, and that's why it is a bit funny. But it's still functional enough to get going. Come on. We go around here. Shift into third. And I feel I should ease through here a bit. Not too quick. You see, if this was the Ford Crown Victoria, it would have been sliding there. This just has so much nicer tyres that it doesn't need to. I'm not going to shift down to second. I'm going to try leaving it in third for this time round. And if this is quicker than the first one, I don't know what to say, because the quick one was the first one. It is about the same for the second one. I think it's ever so slightly quicker. But it, yeah, a 118.5, 118.5 in either case is very, very quick. So, you see my point? It is not a slow car at all. In fact, it is the quickest car on our leaderboard. Quicker than that Bolide track toy and everything. Again, much like the Satsuma with 600 horsepower, in a saloon car which can seat 4 people. Because the cars that do well around here, it seems, are not cars that would do well around other circuits. But without further ado, I guess we can find another car that can hopefully do well. Okay, so I don't have much to say. Besides, I don't really feel safe with this car. It is the Burnside Worcester Devil, and it's full of holes, basically. I'm sure if you look closely enough, you'll see. It's not what I would call safe, especially when you load it with 640 horsepower. I thought the engine had stalled there. That made me very nervous. But the engine stalling shouldn't be what makes me nervous about this. Because there's, well, I would say there's 99 problems. There's probably more than that, knowing what it looks like. But still. Come on. This is quick and grippy, which only adds to the terror. Come on. We're not going to do a K-series, are we? Thankfully not. I mean, that might have slowed me down a bit, but I can deal with just a bit of rallycross. If it did a K-series and threw it into a wall, well, firstly, it's got absolutely no safety features besides the front bumper, which would probably just crumble to dust in a crash anyway. And it has not really got seatbelts, I can see. That makes it even more dangerous. Come on. Through here we go. This feels like it's stupid fast, though, I will admit. Oh, just touching this steering wheel alone feels like a danger. Let alone driving the thing. Oh no. Oh no. Almost 120 miles per hour. I probably shouldn't be driving it that quick. I'm surprised it didn't fall apart when I did. Come on. Float! It actually floated okay over there. Which is intriguing. Did I see a spark come from the front? Surely not. Surely it's not got electrical problems as well. No, I think it's just because there's holes in it. Anyway. Let's go. 119 already. That's a first lap. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Right. I messed my second lap up. Hopefully that was just cosmetic damage. The Burnsides are usually quite tough. Trouble is, how tough is this one? My wheel is kind of upside down. If I have to drive it like this, I don't know. Something is wrong with the steering, yes. The first lap was very good. But unfortunately, it looks like that's the only good lap we're going to get out of it, because I just threw it away after that point. I mean, I could try. It definitely has a functioning engine, so I can try and, you know, push it that way. Functioning round corners, it is just about. It's not as functional as it was before, but there is still grip. And I can still throw it about. Feels like I might have lost one of my front wheels, but the other's fine. And then I'm still putting power down to the rear end, so I can get it going. Come on. How bad was the second lap then when I had that crash, I wonder? Right, I've got to slow down early here. Know what happened on the second lap. And we don't want it to happen again. Full lock to the right, because the car is so badly messed up now that you kind of have to do that. As I seem to cut a corner. Right-yo. Round we go. Along we are. I'm trying to think, so I can't really commentate, and then I'm just gonna floor it, for better or for worse. That is quick. in a broken car as well. It's our new quickest, as you've probably figured. But not only that, it's 2 seconds plus quicker than that last vehicle we had. I would say the most amazing thing of all... Well, something's fallen. I think that's the bonnet. Most amazingly though, it did actually hold up in that crash somewhat. Is that even a bonnet? Did it have a bonnet? I mean, on the picture it showed that it didn't seem to have any kind of bonnet. Which makes things interesting. Yeah, it is. The roof just doesn't do anything. The roof, it's as if it isn't there even. There's no denying it though. This is crazy, crazy fast. So, here we have a Ford LTD Highway Police Patrol, I think it is. Something like that. I'm not good with names. Anyway, you might be wondering why all the chrome is red. So am I. Just whenever I spawn this, normally it's fine. But whenever I spawn this for the time trial, everything appears red. I don't understand it. I'll also mention now, I don't know how it quite happened, but the problem with the Burnside wasn't actually the Burnside, it was this wheel. For whatever reason, it was just turned and not on the axis it should have been. So I had to reconnect it. But still, this car is a significantly departure from that. It feels so slow because it's only got 240 horsepower. I say only, it's still quite a bit of power to be honest in the grand scheme of things, but it's never going to set at the same time as a Burnside. It doesn't have enough grip, let alone the same level of power. But I am actually confident driving it quick that it's not a complete death trap. Come on, round here we go. Oh dear. Yep, we have the ability to push this car a bit closer to its limits. It does feel like the tyres oddly are better than the Crown Victoria. Not what you would expect for a 1970s police car, but that does feel like the case. I say that as I go on the dirt. Yeah, I was just really flooring it there though, that's why. Come on, round here we go. I believe this is the basis of a Lincoln Continental as well, so it is a definite boat. It is not a Lincoln Continental, it's kind of a budget version, but we don't have Lincoln Continental in BeamNG, so I had to find the closest I could. The mirror in the middle is red. I don't know. It's crazy stuff going on in this game right now, as I try and keep control of it. Yep, we can jump these curves though. That's the advantage to having a boat. Ooh, there goes a hubcap. The joys of the old days. No alloys, just hubcaps. I think this car then just used the rumble strip to kind of, it used it as like wheels for the rear wheels. I could just feel it there on that last corner. That was quite amusing. Oh dear. Come on. I say whales, more like a whale, but you get my point. We went at 135 on the first one, which is pretty good, I think, for a first initial one. Come on, try and get round here. I would say that was tidier than the first lap. All I have to do, basically, is tidy up my run on this. But I can absolutely abuse it, and because the power isn't crazy high, I know the car can take it. I know the car can deal with whatever kind of crazy things I throw at it. Also, the transmission doesn't feel as bad as certain other ones. The Roma wouldn't have had a good transmission, but then that's because it was never meant to deal with that kind of power. I just forced it to. 1 minute 30? Solid performance. Still, try and get round here. I should probably stop flooring it 100% of the time. It's just, I got so used to having the power, and then now the power is not there. Actually went across those bumps quite nicely. Let's see if I can do this thing again. Not quite in the same manner, but I did use the rumble strip to stabilise the vehicle. And I think that's a nice technique to use with this. I reckon I can get it into the 120s, although I'm not getting it into the 110s like that Burnside. That was a completely different beast. Along we go. And yeah, nice and tidy through there. Hard to complain. I think this is just generally a tidy run with it. It's not the very best run in the world. I'm sure some pro driver could beat me at driving this vehicle round Fujigoko circuits here. But I am not a pro driver, and I have got a good idea of how it drives, how it compares to other cars when I'm driving around here. The thing is, I find it unique here because the cars that do well are not necessarily the cars that would have done well in my past experience of this game. Yeah, so that's our quickest lap, just barely. So, here we have the car, again, with one hubcap. One of them actually survived my torture, quite amazingly. But the most interesting thing is, the time on this is virtually the same, but just below that not Ford Roma, below the Roma budget track car I built. And it is above the Ford Crown Victoria, so even with less power, I would say due to the better tyres, this car has beaten its successor fundamentally. Still, that is, for a standard car from the 70s, properly impressive. Even more so than the Crown Victoria, and that was quite an impressive time. So, without further ado, on to the next vehicle. So, here we have an interesting vehicle. It is an Oldsmobile Custom Cruiser Resto mod. I was going to do the Regency Coupe, but then I honestly saw this in the car selector and it's virtually the same car. So I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this. And oh no, it has ESC. Got to make sure that naughty ESC is turned off. We can't have that meddling with our fair and unbiased results. Well, you know these days when something says fair and unbiased, it's actually bias. But anyway, we do need to get going. Ooh, a lovely floatiness. I ended up cutting a corner there unintentionally just because the rear end of the car was kind of kicked out. Oh dear. This does get its rear end out more easily than other vehicles. I'll give it that now as an attribute. I'm doing a bit more rallycross, like I think I did with the Burnside early on, where I almost did an ETK with that. Yeah, this first lap isn't going to be the best one, but as I learn the car and I learn the limits, it will get better. I believe it has about 550 horsepower here, which is quite a bit, not as much as that Burnside had, but it's within 100 horsepower of that, and it is not a slow vehicle. We must remember that. I'm doubtful that this is going to be in the 110s, but hey, I could be wrong. As I say, it does float quite well, so that alone could make my mind a bit wrong. Oh dear. Hopefully it's okay mechanically, besides the radiator. The radiator obviously took a hit there. Yeah, feels like it's tracking straight. Just how long can it last? Hopefully this second lap can be good. I'm going to try my very hardest to set a good second lap, just in case, because of my own stupidity there, it will blow up on the third lap. So just in case of that, I'm going to try my very hardest to set a good, smooth second lap. Use what I learned with a Ford LTD, I think, for tyres, but use what I learned with the Burnside in terms of putting the power down. And the Burnside didn't really have a technique to putting the power down, but I just had to be careful because I knew if it did go wrong, well, there weren't much protecting me, and I had to lift off there. It was going. But, as I say, that's why I like front engine rear drive cars. When they're going, you can just lift off and the car will kind of sort itself out. If it was a mid-engine car, it would almost certainly have spun itself. Doing a bit more rallycross. in my muscle boats. I think I can survive a third lap, provided I'm not flooring it for the whole time. Should be able to smooth into here. Hopefully the tyres are a bit warmer now, so it should get a bit better grip because of that, but I don't know. I'm not in the 110s, that's for sure, like I would like to be. It does have ABS, I'm guessing that's a part of the Resto mod. But you know, I just leave ABS as it is because it can help or hinder a car, so there's not much point in changing it. It's both a blessing and a curse as far as track performance is concerned. If it's a part of a car, I'll leave it on. Right, gently around here. This just doesn't have the rear end grip. Well, I hate to admit it because I like the rear. I don't like the rear of it. I mean, I just like the car in general. But that's why I don't like admitting it. However, it's true, the grip just is not here. The brakes are incredible though. I won't deny that. The brakes are definitely some incredible stuff. Floor it here. Yes, I've got the flow up through here, so I won't be messing that up. And then we can navigate this corner. Floor it a bit here, lift off, and then floor it again. On the way to the finish. 1:24. Yep, that's a pretty respectable time. So, having checked this on the leaderboard, it is actually our first 1:24. It is above the ETK V8 convertible and just below the General Toasters Sylvester, which actually makes sense. It's kind of safe, it's a bit of a death trap, but at the same time it's very nice to drive. It's exactly between those two cars when it comes to how it drives as well. Still, let's try and see the mighty engine that propels this. It's making all that lovely noise. That's kind of disappointing actually, I was expecting something much bigger. Anyway, that is, I find, quite a decent time, although I was expecting more. I honestly think that the Plymouth and the Burnside with their incredibly grippy tyres had kind of built me up. Because that is not a bad time at all. But I was just built up to expect more. Anyway, with that being said and done, I'll move on to the next vehicle. Next up, we have the Dodge Coronet, which is the 1970 track version of the car. There was a 1968 as well, and that had a slightly different front end. I think that's the only difference. Still, this is a big engined old muscle car with leaf springs on the back apparently. So let's see how it does. I mean, it's kind of a boat as well. Otherwise I wouldn't have included it in this week, but you'll see the handling is definitely less wobbly than that carburettor. Ooh, can we float over that? I don't know. I weren't intending to do rallycross there. It's just the way it turned out to be. Come on. There's quite a bit of grip, although I can brake it if I'm not trying hard enough to keep it under control. Gently into this corner is probably the way to go. It will jiggle about a bit by the looks of things, but it's dealing with the power just fine, so I needn't complain. Oh dear. I wasn't focusing, I was trying to get it slowed and then that happened. But I didn't hit anything on the wall, so maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Right, so I need to know to beware of the brakes at high speed, because that's what caused it really. I went fully onto those brakes, but there's no ABS, so it did spin the car. I don't know how quick this is going to be, honestly. It could do a 1:10's time, I think, but I would have to really focus to get that out of it. Because it feels like it is completely on edge, whereas that Burnside, although I did not feel safe driving it definitely had a lot of grip. Yes. Oh, excellent. Bit jiggly, but I did get across where I needed to get across. Again, try and manage my inputs so I can get just the right amount of power through the corner to get me round the corner without spinning the car. We don't want to do another spinning the car because it's not exactly ideal. Whoa, third gear. Come on, fourth gear. Slow it. Ooh. Well, okay. I did still go on the brakes too hard there, but I guess that's one way to take a corner. Not the way I would prefer to take it, but you know, not the slowest way either. It was quicker than the first lap, that's for sure. I mean, this has been, all in all, quite a good lap. Come on, gently does it, gently does it. I don't want to throw this car out so much. And I'm on the third and final lap, and I'm in the 110s. Remember, I did have a slide though, so if I don't have a slide, I could potentially beat that still. Gently does it through here. And I'm into second. Again, gently lift the car onto that curb, and I can navigate my way around this corner. Third gear, to give me a good boost of acceleration. Again, slow it down. Right, now here is where I need to be extra careful because I know the car can get a bit touchy with me. Like so. A bit more gentle, a bit more gentle. There we go. Lovely. I would say I was a bit wide on the exit, but it's a small price to pay for overall stability around that corner. Like I did get. I mean, really, it's just a good smooth car to drive as long as you're willing to treat it properly. If I abused this car, then I'm sure it would be spinning all over the place, but as long as I know not to, then all is good and fine. And I had a bit of a crash. So, what we have here is our slowest car to make it into 119s, but that in itself is still an impressive achievement, remember. And it actually was quicker on the second one, where it slid. I guess I must have just initial D'd around that corner without quite realising how much time I had saved. Nonetheless, you can see the engine, I don't even have to try and open the bonnet. Big supercharger and all. How much power did it make? Oh, I was thinking it was making more like 450 or something. Nope, it's making a lot more power than that, which actually explains why it struggled to put it down. Still, the Burnside had about the same amount of horsepower and it put it down better than this, which is why the Burnside was so crazy fast and the fastest thing on the leaderboard. But a 5th place, as this set, is nothing to be ashamed of at all. It is still an incredibly quick machine. Next up we have the Grand Marshal track. I believe this is a particular variant of the Grand Marshal that was added in the, as of this point, last update. And it actually has a manual transmission, unlike a lot of Grand Marshals. I believe it also has the 452 500 horsepower variant of the old Gavril engine we all know and love by now. Or hopefully you love it, because you kind of have to get used to it somehow. Oh, this grip is lovely. There's just so much available. This is going to be quick. I can tell immediately without even trying because of all of that grip. I got a bit slidey there, but not enough to cause proper concern. The car still had the grip in it. I just had to lift off a bit. We're not going to do an ETK here, I can tell. There's enough turning. Yeah, it's already feeling quick, though. It's one of those things, it probably doesn't look quick if you're just watching this video, but it is, and I can tell it's quick. I can tell it's kind of going quicker than it might look. Like, gonna do an initial D around that corner like we did in the Dodge, but I can't quite control it. I've somehow managed to keep it in a straight line. This is only the first lap though anyway, so I'll probably go even quicker. The trouble with this is, compared to other boats, I can tell it's got that really low front lip, and that I don't want getting torn off and going under the front wheel, so I'm actually scared of tackling the rumble strips in the same way I did with other vehicles. The Burnside I could go right over them because it didn't have that as a problem at all. Slightly more gently around here, and then I'm going to go over the rumble strips in a way I said I didn't really want to, but it kind of just happened, so that's the way it is. The first lap was a 1:19, even with all that sliding all over the place. Oh dear. It just went there. That's like a bowline, not like one of these muscle boats. It's all down to the third lap now then, because I know if anything so far is going to beat that Burnside, I know this car stands a chance. And I'm going to slow it down. I think we've got no ABS here, which is definitely odd because it's a Grand Marshal. I don't expect it to have a complete lack of ABS. And it does seem to have impacted it negatively. Certain cars can get away with it, like the hill climb cars. I've noticed the hill climb Sunburst or old Pessima. I've noticed you can get away without ABS on them because the brakes are tuned so well. This just doesn't have that. Not to say it's a bad car to drive, it's just the brakes particularly are a concern point. Right, gently does it. Mainly I'm just trying to lift. Oh dear. That's me trying to lift there, and I did, but for whatever reason it kept sliding. Something's scraping. I think I've done something to that front bumper. Wait-o. Come on. Must be perfect through here. I must be as perfect as I can possibly be if I'm to go round beating Burnside, which I honestly don't think I can do now. I just don't think it's on that level. It is a very good car and it's very quick as well, but I don't think it's quite to that level. This one has overall been quite good. I wouldn't say it's a bad one. I did have a bit of a slide, but I got out of it okay, so maybe I'll beat that 1:19. I think I just don't realise how quick I'm going, as I said. It doesn't seem fast, but I can tell it's going quick. So maybe it's kind of tricking me. Maybe my body doesn't quite understand how quick this thing is moving. Yeah, it set 2 very good times, and that puts it into 6th on the leaderboard. A new slowest 1:19. But I'm saying slowest 1:19. 1:19 in itself is an incredible, incredible time. If anything can set at 1:19, it is a remarkable car, as is this. Anyway, let's see what our final vehicle can do for us. So, here we have the Blue Book stock car. Again, a car from a recent update as of this point, and it has just under 500 horsepower. So hopefully it will do well. I believe these have live axle coil, which is vastly superior to live axle V. And I made a stupid mistake there of starting off in 2nd gear, which I shouldn't have done. Don't want to hold this car back in such a way that it's just my own stupidity. It immediately does feel better than the Grand Marshal, but I don't know. I've not tried braking in it yet. The Grand Marshal did initially feel very nice, yeah. It floats over bumps, despite being a stock car. This is definitely a bow at heart. Come on. Round we go. This is absolutely lovely. Whoop. Not quite how I was hoping to take that corner, but you know, it was decent enough. Shift into 2nd. No ABS on this, but the brakes are very sorted. Far better than the Grand Marshal. Right, so need to think about how to tackle this, I guess. Should I go flat out with this car and try and really push it? I guess I should. At least on the third lap, where I've got nothing to lose. Oh my, this is going to beat the Burnside. A 117 on my first lap. That is evidence, and I can tell you now, it is definitely going to beat that Burnside. The Burnside does not have a hope. I'm sorry, I spoke too soon. Wait, I know not to do that on the third lap. Is this fine mechanically? Hopefully it is. I mean, that was stupid of me, I know. But onwards I will go, regardless of the fact. Bump. I mean, this is probably a very valuable vehicle, and I'm just throwing it around like it's worthless. Oh well. It does get me good lap times. At the end of it, what can I say? So, the steering is definitely off. It's veering to the left. However, it doesn't feel majorly off. It just feels like something's a bit bent. But the suspension all still seems to be working. So, I can definitely drive this as I would need to drive a car. It might not even be the steering, to be honest. It might be one of the rear wheels. But then, that all plays into the balance of the vehicle, as you know. No! Stock car crashes! I shouldn't have done that, but I was trying to get back onto the course and I failed. Come on, I will get to the end. Nothing can stop me. Not even a missing wheel. If it beats the Burnside like this, I would be amazed, and oh dear. I can't make left turns. I said it would beat the Burnside. And then I just started really pushing the car, and I don't know what to make of it. I couldn't beat the Burnside because of what's happened. Fact is, I think now I might as well not even bother finishing this one because I'm not going to get better than the first 117. Which I believe does make this the second fastest though. This is technically quicker than the Burnside, I'll say that now. This is the quicker of the two. However, my driving hurt the car. My driving stopped it from doing better and reaching its fullest of potentials. So, with that being said and done, that's actually all the vehicles for today. So I'll say goodbye until another day.